Well, welcome, both of you. And what I'm
Thank
going
you.
to do is I'm going to allow you to introduce yourselves, and then we're just going to hear about how you know about relationships and how you know about love and what you've seen around that. So, yeah, that would be a good place to start.
Great, great. Well, I am. I have a Sanskrit first name, part of my first name called Satyajit. If you can't say it, most people can't. Just call me Joel. So it's Satyajit Joel Peters. And this is Judith Alice Peters, my wife, and we've we've been involved in the principles. I've been with. I had a wonderful insight 30 years ago, changed my life regarding the three principles. And about 6 years ago, I met Judith Alice, and so here we are. We have this incredible relationship, and I practice yoga, and I speak on the principles, and I speak on my medical journey. I had a bout with cancer, and I speak on happiness, and so here, that's where we are, where I am today. Mm-hmm. And Judith, want to say?
He's a wonderful speaker. I'm not so much the speaker.
She's great. She's great. She's fine. So Judith Alice is a teacher. So I'm going to say a few words about that.
Yes, I teach high school, 9th grade environmental science, and I've been teaching for 19 years. It's been a long journey.
Long journey. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think, what I'd like to do is come from this feeling that we have. I know that anytime I'm in life, living life, which is every moment, I feel, and I don't want to sound out there, but it's the truth. I feel me. I feel, if I could say, I feel my being, but it's really me. So it's that simpler than feeling my being. It's not my being, it's me. And this feeling is always this beautiful feeling of love. When I'm not so much feeling my being, I'm wrapped up in my thinking, and I'm wrapped up in those things that challenge my thinking, those things that allow me to react. They take me down that very narrow-minded path of reaction. It turns out that through the years, what's really changed for me is I would react, and that reaction might last for minutes, days, weeks, in some diminished way, or maybe even get even more reaction, up or down, would continue. And what's changed is now anything that I react to, if I react at all, it's very quick. I return back to my sense of, there it is, the lovely feeling of being, of me. And it's a feeling of love. And even in maybe what most people would consider to be very stressful events, like maybe losing a job, or having somebody close die. These events would be considered by most to be events that could trigger stress, but there's a natural response to them. someone dies, there's a sadness, there's a natural or human feeling and expression in that. If I lose my job, there's a disappointment and some level of frustration and some level, but it's appropriate to the situation. So it's not really a reaction. It's what we do being human. We're human beings. We have the loveliness of our being, but we're human. So that human part, that's the part that says that we could react to things. But we can also take in something that's very appropriate, like the loss of a loved one. The thing is, now that loss of that loved one would be appropriate and wouldn't last beyond what was appropriate for that. And then I would be back to this lovely feeling, and it would happen very quickly, or it could even happen simultaneously. Someone dies, there's a sadness, but in that sadness, I still feel this lovely being with having this feeling of sadness, and then the sadness will lift. That's the difference. Years ago, I would last, the losses would last longer. And things that aren't appropriate, like, somebody walks in the room and to talk to me, and it reminds me of something that it triggers something within me, and I get angry. It's inappropriate to the situation. Those things don't usually happen anymore. And if they do, it's very quick. So I say this because I know where to go. There's a resilience, let's say, that brings me this incredible sense, it's a felt sense, a feeling sense of who I am. And it's the feeling of love. That feeling of love, that sense of who I am, is where Judith, Alice, and I live in our relationship. Mm. Do we have some tense moments? Sometimes, yes, but we go back. See, it's that resilience. We're back to that love. We know that nothing is going to come of, nothing particularly nice is going to come of if we try to solve our problems at all in anything but that feeling of love and that feeling of togetherness. So whenever we're having difficult moments, it doesn't happen very much, but when we have difficult moments, we return to the feeling of love. That's priority one. How do we return there?
It's there.
We know it's there. It's who we are. So it's there. It's who we are. It's not like, well, I've got to get myself to that state. If I'm wrapped up in my thinking, it may seem like I've got to get myself someplace, but that's doing. All we need to do is relax. So we relax together, or we relax separately, but we relax into that feeling. That feeling is one that I have, that gratefulness for for me, for Judith, Alice, whether we're together or not. So travel takes me different places. Sometimes we're apart for a number of days. And when I went to India this past year, we were apart for 6 weeks. And I can feel that appreciation for her, and I can feel that love. Because I feel that, here it's that love, it's right there, when we're not together. And then when we're together, it's fantastic. All again, in that moment, it's wonderful. So how's it for you?
It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. What I told him when we first met, we were talking and I felt like I was home. I had that, it was very comfortable, like I've known Joel for lifetimes, mm-hmm. for, just easy. And it wasn't but 2 weeks later that I just loved, and I loved him like I loved my mother. My mother, I lost her when I was 29 to brain cancer, and it was very upsetting, and it was hard for me to go through. But she's still here with me today. I can feel her all the time, and that it's that same kind of love. I know that Joel is always with me. It's that feeling that everybody gets when you see something and your heart warms. It's nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice. We've been together for 6 years, and it's gotten deeper and started out pretty nice. So
it's new. It's new every day.
It's new
every day. Nothing gets. I get a cup of coffee every single morning from this one. He grinds the beans and he makes the cup of coffee and he'll bring it to me. And every day I am so grateful, and I have so much gratitude for just the little things. And when he was away in India, I appreciated it every day as well, even though he wasn't serving me. I had that, oh, it's my morning coffee. Joel fixes this for me. And that it doesn't get old. It's just beautiful.
When
Uh-oh.
No, it's good. It's good. So we met before I was diagnosed with cancer. And we had this incredible feeling. I had this incredible feeling of her, which was this love, this the feeling I feel of me. How perfect. It's love. So we knew that we wanted to spend the rest of our life together at that point, very, very early on. But I was diagnosed with cancer, and I didn't give it another thought about us proceeding on. Let me say my sense since the principles for a relationship changed. Before the principles, it was all about whatever was driving me from when I was a kid to finding that perfect person and getting that house with the picket fence or whatever, that represents whatever the dream is, whatever our conditioned thinking is that I have in the moment. But enough of that, because in the principles, I realized, oh my gosh, just have a good, nice, beautiful feeling. Mm. And if I have a nice, beautiful feeling with the person that across from me on the date or at the beach or just being together, that was wonderful. And we take and then so what to do? Well, we are thinking beings, so we think of things to do, and sometimes in those things that we think, we come up with lots of hurdles to jump over. I try to simplify that by saying, if it feels good and it's appropriate to take a step, the next step, then I would do that. The next step might be, oh, feels great. Let's go out on another date. The next step might be, what do you like to do? Because I can do anything with you, Mm-hmm. We can go to the beach, we can, whatever you like, let's do that. It doesn't have to be anything exciting, really. It could be very quiet. In fact, it'd be better to be quiet, just so that we could feel each other without being distracted. And you take the next step and the next step, next step. And so I've had relationships where there wasn't, the next step wasn't, well, I something didn't feel as like the way I wanted it to feel in the relationship. And being a person, a 3P person, I would feel like, well, what am I making of this, and in whatever relationship I was going into? Was it me that I wasn't feeling quite right? Did I have an expectation? And those things come up for everyone. And I think, it's nothing much we can do about them. It's part of being human. It's that human part again. When Judith Alice and I met, this love that we felt was such a wide field of love to play in, mm-hmm. that it swept out all doubts and considerations that would say, well, wait a minute, but maybe we should check this out, do this and do that. It swept all of that out, and it just gave us this lovely feeling, this beautiful feeling of love, and it kept on going on and on. When I was diagnosed with cancer, what I hadn't realized is I had some thinking around that at that time. Like, what, and it didn't know it then, but later on, it was something like, we're meeting later in life. Why would she want to be with somebody with cancer? There's partly, would she want to be? And then even if she did, there was, well, it's up to me to not do that to her. So it's all thinking, it's all thought. But I kind of, we didn't go into the next step because of the cancer, but the cancer eventually turned into be metastatic cancer, and it had a terminal prognosis of a couple of years. So at that point, it was time I said a discussion with her. I said, well, I love you. I feel this love. It didn't change that, but I can't do this to you. Bringing this, realized her mom had died, as she mentioned earlier, brain cancer, when she was younger in life, and her dad died at my age at the time of the same illness that I had. How could it? You got to be kidding, right? And so, long story short, she said, "What?
You're not the cancer. You're not the, what does that have to do with anything, really? What you do, what you say, your profession, what you have. Do you have a car? Do you have nothing matters except for that understanding, the love that you share with people, and connections. And you said something about expectations. And I think that it helps a lot to recognize when you are holding an expectation for someone. I expect, like if I were to expect every day for myself to get coffee in the morning, which I know, it's going to happen. But if it doesn't, there's never, it's not a disappointment or why didn't you do that? Or, it's so expectations, if you can recognize when you have expectations and kind of drop them, because everyone's a human being. Everyone has emotions of anger and sadness and depression, but you can, it's the base is that feeling. The base of our love is that feeling, oh, I can go back to that. I just have to allow it and let go of all my thinking.
Yeah. So you mentioned that there's this love. It's an understanding, but it's love. And it is an understanding. It's a non-intellectual understanding. We have that understanding with each other. It's called love. each of us as humans are capable of this. We each know that there are many things in our life that bring up that love for us. I've come to realize that love is independent of things in the physical world, independent of circumstances. It's as independent as I am as a being. And while I'm dependent as a human, dependent upon paying the mortgage, if I'm going to stay in the house, I'm dependent upon eating food, otherwise I'll wither away, and many other dependencies, pleasing my boss, or else I won't be able to continue at work. This video being somewhat useful, otherwise no one will ask me to make another video, you know? So, I mean, there is that dependency to some degree, right? But that's all relatively in the mix of being human, and that's all dependent upon our thought. But it's possible to be in that place of love, of being, and to be aware that, see, the rub to me is the awareness of it. Since we're all beings, well, wait a minute, we're all there. So then but yet this person is killing somebody, and this person is expecting a happier life, and they're miserable with their life because it's in the awareness. There's not a way that a person wouldn't be in the feeling of love if you're aware of your own being. And in being aware of my own being aware of me, being that deeper self, me. And I'm talking about the me, I'm not talking about the me that's imperfect. I'm not talking about the me that's contaminated, that has this thinking of expectations and I wish this was that way and that was that way. I want more of this in life. I want less of that in life. That me, call it the ego me, call it the struggling me, call it the me that's trying to find the balance in life so I just have that happiness. Our secret, we don't look for that happiness. We don't look for the balance in life. On some level, yes. You know, you got to make enough money so that you can pay the bills and that you can have some to, you know, that's relatively important to balance the finances. But it's not absolutely important. What's really absolutely important is that I feel the depth in me, the part that's intangible, the part that's formless. That part has a perfection about it. And that wholeness, sorry, remove the word part, that wholeness, because it is whole. That's the thing. It isn't a part of me. It's who I am. It is a wholeness. Everything else is a piece of clothing. Personality, ego goes on top of that. Thinking of that goes on top of that. If we like the sense that everything is thought, everything, including being, then being is that one pure thought of love. And that one pure thought feels like love. It's what we feel as love. You could also say that, you know, all the conditioned thinking and all that thinking that's dependent upon our memory and comparing this to that takes on a different perspective. It doesn't go away. It can't. We're human. We have to live life. But it takes on a different perspective. It takes second seat to being. In feeling me, I also feel Judith Alice. In feeling me, I also feel you. To the degree that other people will not distract me from that feeling, like somebody's yelling at me, I can't say, well, I'm going to be feeling love there. They may be distracting me from that feeling, but the feeling is independent. Really, who you are and me feeling you as a being is a tall order, but it's independent of how you're treating me. That's hard for people to see. Wow, you got to treat me a particular way, and I got to feel like somehow you like me and I'm getting some kudos from you. Otherwise, And that's conditional love. Otherwise, I'm not going to be loving you too much. So what about, I didn't used to believe so much in marriage. And I don't really now believe in marriage, except for it's beyond belief. I have this empirical direct experience that it's not the marriage, it's not the license, it's not the acknowledgement from the village or the society. But if I can use this analogy, what this commitment, I believe in committing to another human being. Might be more if you committed to do your job, you've committed to your boss being your boss, or committed to caring for the children because they come along. But if you, out of free will, pure free will, commit to loving another being, commit to finding that place within me of love. So I love her, I have that connection. Sure, I may love you and many other people, but there's that special love. It's the same magnanimous love of being, but what's special about it is we're committed together. What's special about it is that commitment becomes a container, so to speak. Now, it's an analogy. It's not really a container because it's infinite, but it becomes this canvas, let's say, maybe that's a better term, canvas, conscious canvas, on which we live life, and it becomes this place to not experience life, but to love, to return to the love. It reminds me to return to the love all the time. I'm not sure, it's going back to not working out problems in a lower mood. We go to the love, we feel it. And then if there's something to work out, if there's something to discuss, I mean, most times things are gone. There's nothing to work out. There's no question anymore, right? Just somehow, poof, it's gone. It's the nature of consciousness. It looks at what's not real and doesn't see it anymore. It's poof, it's gone. What's not real goes. What's real is what's left. What's real is the love. So why not go to the love? Why go through hey, we've got to go through this entire charang to try to say, well, we got to get back to the love. No, we just go right to the love. We just go right to the feeling. And then if there's something to charang about, we will. But we'll do it from this higher state of mind. And in this higher state of mind, or deeper state of mind, it's not really high and low. We feel each other, we're fine. And we can, and life becomes easier, life becomes nicer. To me, that's the secret. Going back to that, will you marry me? And then and she's like, yes, I had the same thought. And then, a couple of years went by, actually, 4 years went by, and the cancer was still metastatic cancer at the time. It hadn't reached remission. By the way, it's in remission now, just to tell everybody, and I'm good about it. And through my understanding of the principles, I came to this, yes, again, appropriate feelings, sometimes disappointment. Oh my gosh, I've got a couple of years to live. It got intense sometimes, because that's appropriate if you're going to consider end of life. But it would always fall back into, what's real right now is here I am. And here I feel me. So what could be the problem, you know? And that kept on, and it opened up doors for me to do alternative and complementary along with my medical treatment. I went through 4 years of chemotherapy and 100 rounds of radiation and some surgeries and all kinds of things. And I did lots of yoga and lots of, stimulating my organs and getting things flowing and all of that. Great. But I also had this depth of understanding from the principles, which allowed me to just not live in the condition, not live in all the thinking, but to live in this sense of being. And then I know I'm having some thinking. Oh, what is that? It's curious. That's interesting. Then I went to India the first time 2 years ago. And Judith Alice couldn't come because she was teaching, and I was a bum. I'm just retired and didn't teach and didn't have anything. Went to India with a bunch of friends, and she says, I just have to go. So spring break was coming up. So I'm in India for over a month, and she comes for 1 week, and with travel and all, she's there for 5 days, right? So I said, well, we're going to take you right to the pot of gold. So we went to Rishikesh, and it's the birthplace of yoga. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful. I mean, people have seen the picture of the Ganges River and the bridge, the walking bridges that go across, and the marketplace and the people and the sights and sounds of India. So I meet Judith Alice at the airport in Delhi, and I've got this big bouquet of flowers that I specifically picked. Took me hours to go around finding the various florists that I could pick, some here, some here, some here. I didn't pick them in a field. And made this bouquet, and I'm wearing sort of like Indian clothes, which is kind of cool, And it was just fun. And went to the airport to meet her. And so what was that like for you?
It was amazing. I was, first of all, so happy to get there after 24 hours of flying. But I remember I was on the phone telling you, okay, because there are so many people, and I'm in a different country, and I've never traveled that far away from home. So I'm looking around, and then all of a sudden I see his smile. She's just shining and smiling, and the flowers were beautiful. And I was like, okay, it's all okay. It's as crazy as it might seem in this airport right now. And, people honking and driving on all sides of the roads. There's no one side or the other. And all the cars are this close to each other. And I was like, well, I've got this one. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. It was a journey.
So we went to a hotel the next morning. We wake up at 4:30 in the morning to take one of these rickshaws on down to the busiest train station in the world in Delhi. 1 million people go through it in a day. And people don't speak English, but we're trying to describe where we got to go. There's the train, and there's the train. It's pulling out from the station. So it's just like a movie. And we have our packs on the back, and we're running and we're running and we're running. Now, they told us that because we bought a ticket and paid for it weeks before, doesn't mean you get on the train. It's India. You don't know. So you got to look for your name on the side of the train. They just post it like a computer printout on the side of the car. So you got to find the car that has the name, and we're running, looking, reading, running and reading. And there it is. There's a name. So we grab on and we pull ourselves on with our, good thing we had backpacks. If we had luggage, the clothing would still be lying there on the side. Well, probably be on somebody's back right now. But so we go into Rishikesh, and we had a wonderful time. But on that Ganges River, they call it Mother Ganga. It's just the mother, right? It's the mother, the soul of India. It represents that flow, the life flow within us. So in India, everything is in symbolism. It's not, you know, there aren't many Indian gods. People say, oh no, they believe. No, they don't. They believe in the life force. They believe in universal consciousness. They do believe in this universal mind. It's amazing. Mostly, I mean, there's different grades of awareness in society, but and so these Indian gods like Krishna and Shiva, and we've heard about it, and the Ganesha, everybody likes Ganesha, the little elephant, because he's the removal of obstacles, right? But he's us. We're the remover of our own obstacles. We're the seer of our own thinking. We're the shifter of our own mood when we're relaxed into the ground of being. That's the thing. When we're relaxed in the ground of being, consciousness is broader. We have this relaxed ability to be in the now, and we could accept. We're not fighting what is, we're accepting what is, and it frees us up to say, wow, life is nice. You know, life is a whole lot nicer here. That's the principles right there. And so we walk down to Mother Ganga, the river, and that's symbolic of the life force within us, the river. And we do a little blessing. They call it a puja in India. Again, it's nothing religious. It really is just pure being. You know, we're just acknowledging each other. Mm-hmm. And at that moment, we didn't plan this. At that moment, we knew that we were going to get married when we get back. We just knew it. In fact, we kind of married each other at that point, and probably couple of times. 4 years earlier when we first met. And so it didn't matter to Judith about the illness or any of these conditions. It's an unconditional love. Mm-hmm. And so that summer, so that was in March. So that summer we did get married at the beach. We had some family together and all. It was beautiful. And we felt that love since the time we met. Even it feels like a time transcendent love before we met. And it has to be, because it's the soul. It's who we are. It's got to be time transcendent. Isn't that the love that everybody wants? A time transcendent love. It's not dependent upon time. It's not dependent upon anything. It's like when we're born. Can we all get a sense of this perfect being born? Usually we look at a little baby and we say, oh my gosh, there's a body there that they can't control, but there's a perfect being. You can see it. And they get hungry and they cry, and they get tired and they cry, and they get diaper rash and they cry. But between those crying, and that's the human condition, between that, there's this perfect being, and you can see it, sparkling eyes. You can see the depth, and you're like, but that's us. Mm-hmm. Even now, what's really happened between now, the time I was born, and almost 68 years later? The body's changed. Things have changed. Maybe I've taken on more thoughts. I've gotten a little clever with this and that, or maybe not so clever. But that's all stuff. That's all the thinking and the physical body and life, and I'm in a different house now than when I was born. Traveling know different people. So what really changes is not us. That's the illusion. That's what changes. And it's fun illusion. We have a good time in it if we can feel the beautiful feeling of being. So I'm like, it was so clear that my thoughts and considerations around, am I going to bring her this disease, to stimulate it, or how can she get beyond, as if it's my business, right? How can she get beyond her father dying the same age and had the same disease? And this is freaky, right? All thought, poof, gone when I go back. And at this point, so we came back, we got married. And so that's 2 years ago. We got married. And it's just been getting better and better and better. So I've been doing a lot of talking, haven't I?
You're good. You're good.
Yeah, but you're good.
I don't know. I mean, all I notice is it's simple.
It's simple. It's simple.
It's so simple. I had, when you were concerned about you having I'm thinking, what does that have anything to do? Really, what does that have anything to do with what I'm feeling for this beautiful man? It doesn't.
And
it's
so
just simple.
Simple. So think of something more, not everybody has cancer or whatever. Something that's every day. Let's see if we can think of something that's every day that could boggle a relationship possibly, or be the beginnings of a boggled relationship, but that we sort of transcend. Can you think of something on that? We always having a great time together.
I know.
But no, there are lots of things. There are lots of things. What? Can you think of it? I think, because we're trying to, it's really simple, like Judith said. We love each other. We can feel it. The love is the love of our own soul.
The life and the doing part, that's the hard part.
We have tough times.
We've got
financially,
two teenage boys.
Oof, there we go.
That should say
it all. There we go.
Those are
that's
stressors,
it right there.
And we have to do our best, and we have to remind ourselves constantly we are doing our best, and we're making these choices from wisdom, but from that space of, we make choice. If we're making choices and we're not in a good space, that's just purely reacting, I guess. You're reacting. But if, I'll catch myself in a reaction. I might tense up and I might be like, oh, this doesn't feel good. It might have been a tone of voice. It could be anything, but I feel myself tense up and I know I'm reacting. I have to take a breath, and I need time. I just need a little space so I can step out of that and then come back to whatever we may have been discussing, but I know that I can't have important discussions when I am in a mood or in a different state of being. Oh.
So I remember years ago, might have been George Pransky, forget who it was, but I'm sure Sid said this many times, that what should be when you're in a relationship, even if you're on a date, any kind of relationship, and this is true for any kind of relationship that we're talking about, life mate relationship, but you're with your boss, with your children, with your friend, or with the person down the block. If there's something to resolve because it's something tough going on, the best thing to do is to go to sleep. So the advice that most, and this is so true, the advice that most, I don't know about most anymore, but used to be most, therapists and psychologists would say, and certainly there's a school of thought that says, don't go to sleep unless you resolve, your hearts have got to be resolved. Well, it's actually the exactly wrong advice. Now, I rarely will say something is absolutely wrong because there's relative importance somewhere for it. Maybe if you were no, it's the wrong advice. Yeah. I'm not sure that can ever be the right advice, ever. Maybe if somebody had a gun to your both heads and said that I'm going to pull a trigger if you don't stay up and resolve this now, that would probably be the only circumstance. But since that's not real, that's not going to happen, go to sleep or have a meal or go have a good time or just go have it. I mean, we do that. We'll just go for a walk together or separately or go to the movie alone or together. Just do something that it's not a matter of just distraction. Distraction is the simplicity of it. But deeper than that, you're really bringing out the enjoyment of life within yourself. And if you go to sleep, you may be tired, and that could be the tiredness or the hunger. It's like that baby we talked about earlier, right? Is they're crying, they're a beautiful being, and they're crying because they got diaper rash, they're teething, they're hungry, they're tired. That covers about everything. I mean, there's a few other things. But you take care of those things, and then the being's happy again, right? There's a natural enjoyment that comes in. So it doesn't really matter what you might do or not do. But one thing not to do is to do those things that are going to be challenging. Anything challenging in a state of mind where there isn't some love. Not to say you don't love that person ordinarily, but in this moment, there isn't that love. And it's not enough love that I can trust my own thinking. That's the thing. There has to be enough love, real love, not like, let me see what I can do to express like for this person, or I can think, yeah, I remember we got married, so we like each other, but now we got to fix this. And that's the wrong place to fix it from. Absolutely the wrong place. So we don't do, so that's a point right there, because we just don't do that. We do not engage in trying to fix anything. We do not feel like our relationship has ever been, or nor do we ever want it to be work, ever. If it is, we're going on vacation. Even if the vacation is just a momentary, let's just go out of that state to something a little bit better, a little nicer. So the thing, if I can find a few words that have mattered the most to me, that Sid Banks had said, I've heard him say this live, I've heard him say this on tape and in books. It's to find a beautiful feeling. There's lots of wisdom that distills from that, or that can be derived from that, but the pureness of it is to find a beautiful feeling, because that's the core of, to me, the core of wisdom, the non-intellectual wisdom of the three principles and how it would apply to anything. Certainly the secret of everything or anything, it's going to be the secret of relationships. And that's at the core of that, is find a beautiful feeling. Now, that beautiful feeling, if it's not conditional, is the feeling of us. It's the feeling of, not the feeling of humanity, because that brings in the human part, and there's a little war over here, and these people over here are arguing, and we got a conditional this and that, and that's not the beautiful feeling. It's the feeling of being, the human part, or the being part of the human being. That feeling, that's the beautiful feeling. And I'm really here to say that is non-conditional. So it's not only can I feel it at any time. A lot of people, feel like they can't feel it at any time. They must go do something to get to it. They must have certain conditions satisfied before we can proceed on with this relationship. And that's not true. That's the illusion. We get caught in our thinking. We get caught in this illusion, and we think it's real. That's the nature of consciousness. Consciousness follows us wherever we go, because it is who we are. So because it is who we are and it follows us wherever we go, when we go into the grippingness of our thinking, then consciousness makes that real. It's a servant. It says, what do you see? Hey, I'm going to make whatever you see super, super real. Until you can see something else bigger than that, or maybe beyond that, the confines of that little whatever it is that you see, I'm going to make that real. And then if you see something else, I'll make that real too. It can also say, if you see yourself, I'll make that real too. But that's the real. That's the pot of gold. Know thyself. It's what the ancient Greeks said. Know thyself in many ways is what all the sages and wise have said. It's what Sid Banks, as one of the sages, the great wise, said. You know thyself. But not know thyself physically. That's good for the doctors to know, right? Medicine and science. Not to know thyself, the things we like, the things we want, or the things we don't want something of. We don't want that hurricane. Know that thyself. This is all relatively important, so you don't get blown away in a hurricane. But to know thyself spiritually, that's the journey of the wise. And it means that each and every one of us can step onto that journey of the wise, because we are wise when we step onto that. And is there something we need to do that? No, there's absolutely nothing we can do. We need to relax. But it's beyond the relaxation of like, let me just sit on the couch with a glass of wine, or let me go for a walk. I'll go to the beach and I'll relax, right? You know the story about going to the beach to relax. Well, it's how great. I've been working hard and I got a week vacation at the beach. Could anything be better than that? Most people would say, great. And the first day it seems that way, but by the second day we're looking for the internet. Where's Wi-Fi, right? And by the third day we're like, this is great and all, but there's this lot, our minds, our thinking. So relaxation is not that. Relaxation can happen. It happens now. And it's really relaxing into this beautiful feeling of who we are. Now, for somebody who's not there because they're buried under their thinking, they haven't uncovered themselves yet, they may seem like a journey. Truth is, the reason it seems like a journey is because they're thinking it seems like a journey. And it's really just relaxing into the now. That's what we do all the time. Sometimes we're symbolic about it, like let's get a cup of coffee and go out on the porch. And beautiful, we got a beautiful porch here, and we love trees. And so do we walk on the beach? Absolutely. Do we relax in that? Absolutely. But it's not about relaxation. It's really about the feeling. We as soon as we have that feeling, then we enjoy life. We enjoy the beach. But we don't go to the beach to enjoy life. We enjoy life anyway. We feel our relationship anyway. I mean, wouldn't you say that's what we felt? Yeah. There may be a little bit of time left. You wanted to say something?
Well, my mind's kind of going a little here and there right now. I was thinking about my students in high school and how it would be so nice if, within the past 5 years with the introduction of cell phones, I've noticed there's a huge disconnect between students and that connection, that student-teacher contact and being in the classroom. And I've actually stopped class and said, okay, everybody put your phones, make sure they're off, put them away, and just sit 3 minutes. And they're looking around, they're like, what? Just breathe. And they're going, this is crazy lady, crazy Mrs. Peters telling us to breathe. But some of them, I could tell, were able to settle into that. Some of them put their head down and, took a nap. some of them, there were a couple that just couldn't stop like checking everybody out. And I even told them, I said, close your eyes, just close your eyes and breathe. It's interesting. But I wish we had more of that for our young kids. I mean, we struggle with our 2 teenage boys. I'm competing with, we're competing with computers, social media, and we just need more human connection. It's there in them, you know, you see it in the students, you see it in the boys. They're beautiful, and they come in and they go out so quickly though. I'm like, okay, they were here, they were present, and then suddenly their minds take them away. What notification did I get on my phone? You know?
So what didn't work for us with our kids is to focus on what's wrong with them. That does not work. Now,
No.
if a person could figure that, could see that within their lives, that focusing on what's wrong with any of the people in their lives or the things or themselves is a total losing proposition. You're going to get more of what you don't want. You're not going to get closer to what you do want. If what you want is happiness and love, you ain't going to get there with that. You're going to get there purely through a beautiful feeling. And if you get children or you got a best friend you need to see their beauty. You need to see what's good and right within them. And it's always there.
And that's what we do.
And that's what we do. We find we see what's right. And it's not a listing. It's not, let's think more thoughts about it, because it can easily go in that direction for a lot of people. You know, let's think more, let's positive thinking, right? No, it's not positive thinking. It's seeing what's real of the deep of the feeling within. It's the feeling within. It's the feeling within that feeling of us. So
that's it.
That's it. And that's the secret to everything, but we have to limit it to this discussion, which that's the secret to happiness and love in a relationship. A happy, loving relationship is feel the feeling within. And that feeling, by the way, has some names to it, other names. Love, gratefulness. Oh, now that's a good name of that feeling because it kind of has a little handle that goes with it. Love is like, it's big and it's got a lot of loaded meaning. And let's go to the pure meaning of you feeling yourself. It's still big. Sometimes we got to approach it a little frame of mind where it's, I can't handle that bigness yet. I'm in a state of mind, I can't handle that bigness yet. So I'm like, what can I be grateful for? Good cup of coffee. Or that Judith Alice is such a great mom. Or she's just so accepting of me. And that gratefulness, the secret of gratefulness is it's a feeling, but it's not, it seems, the illusion is it's attached to, she's accepting me. Okay? Or it's attached to the meal being good, or the ant crawling across my foot, you know. And look at nature, look how beautiful it is. And I need to go more nature all the time. No, that feeling of gratefulness is the feeling of love. It's the feeling of who we are as a being. The pure part of the being, not the moody part, but the pure part. And then it fills us up, and it opens the little well, you know, it just boom, comes up. And now all of a sudden I'm grateful for Judith Alice, and I'm grateful for the children, and I'm grateful for this. Now, try that as an experiment at home. You know the old saying, don't try this at home, kids. No, try this at home, please. In fact, try it everywhere you can. Just find something to be grateful for. Or if you can jump right to the magnanimous filling up feeling of gratefulness, do so. And realize, because when you do that, you see, oh my gosh, it's lifted me up. It's changed. And that is to say, we're in a higher mood. That is to say, we're in a state of mind where now our thinking is more trusting. We can trust our thinking a little more, and it's more trusting. And we have more access to wisdom. And maybe there's even a higher state we can go to, but we don't have to worry about that, because all we want to do is relax, and all we want to do is be grateful. So what does relaxing do again? We talked about it before. It really puts us into a state of gratefulness for just what is. And so that's the secret. Gratefulness, love, beautiful feeling. Going to that first, second, last, always. It's, in other words, have it as a higher priority. And this is perhaps it's adjustment in priority. That's natural if we see the wisdom. But if we don't see the wisdom, because we're stuck in this state, and we know we're stuck in a state because our thinking is stinky, it doesn't serve us, we didn't feel well, we don't feel, our thinking doesn't feel good, just trust that at that one moment, our priorities mixed is not. The priority is this and not that magnanimous feeling, not that beauty, not, this is number one, know thyself, feel thyself, I say. That's the best way to know, because intellectual journey is a tough one. Doesn't usually get us too far. Feel thyself, and that's it. That's it, secret. Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions? Do you have any?
That's so funny.
Well, I mean, you had the big question, at the very before all of this, hey, the secret to everything, and just talk. Me, I'll talk about everything. Human nature is so much fun to laugh at.
Yeah. That was lovely. And the great thing is that it doesn't matter at all if nobody has any idea what you were talking about. Because
even me, I don't know what I was talking about.
It doesn't matter, because it's all about enjoying the feeling and experiencing the feeling, and the feeling was just there all the time, all the way through that. So that's all that matters.
It's all that matters.
Yeah.
All that matters.
So rather than ask any questions now, I'm just going to allow people to just sit in that feeling.
Oh, good.
Instead of, I'm not going to start asking, there's all sorts of things I could be asking, but I'm not going to. We're just going to let people sit in that feeling and enjoy it. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Let's do it again sometime.
Yeah.
Everyone be there, please.
Yeah. Okay.
Love you all. Bye.
Bye.